Hello, and welcome to another episode of Purlfect Pairings. My name is Gayanne, and I'm the host here, coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where I interview personalities and participants in our local wool industry. Now, before we get started today, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I've recorded this episode, and that's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I would also like to acknowledge the often fraught relationship between Indigenous land rights and the Australian farming industry, and I'd also like to acknowledge the contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people to the Fibre arts community over the millennia. Now, first off, if you are a repeat visitor to the podcast, welcome back. And if you are new, welcome to the community. I'm so happy that you're here. And I've made a new friend today when I went down to visit the Hand Weavers and Spinners Guild. I've spoken today with Phoebe Garrett, who is the current president of the guild. Hello, Murphy. He's made his little cameo appearance. Phoebe is so enthusiastic about fibercraft and what the guild is doing that I just had to share her story as well as what the guild has on offer for everybody. And they're doing things both in person and on Zoom, so even if you're not in the local community or in the local area, there might be something that you can participate in. So I will now throw it over to Phoebe. Phoebe, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's get straight stuck into it. What's been your fiber journey and how have you ended up at the guild?
Well, I was lucky, like many people, to start sewing and knitting and do a few fibre crafts when I was very young. And I was always fascinated by the fibre crafts in fairy tales, particularly the spinning and weaving that went on, and always wanted to do more spinning and weaving, but as a child I didn't have access to those things. So I did a lot of sewing and a lot of knitting, and as I got older, as a teen, I borrowed a wheel from a family friend and taught myself to spin, which was a bit of a challenge with pre-internet days. You're stuck with books that might tell you what to do with not very many pictures, so that was an interesting challenge. And I make a lot of my own clothes and have for a long time, so it easily became, I can sew them and I can knit them, and then I can now I can weave and spin them. And I've always been fascinated by clothing and costumes, especially historical textiles. And at university, I studied ancient history and languages, so I'm really fascinated by ancient textile techniques. And these days, about how ancient techniques can inform the future. We're going to have to do without plastic that we've been using in our textiles for the last, not quite 100 years. But people were doing without them before, and we can look at what people used to do in the past to inform how that we change for the future to be more sustainable in our choices, which I think is really fascinating. We don't need to reinvent the wheel in a lot of cases. Things like zero waste cutting is seen as really innovative and new, but when people had to weave all their own cloth by hand on their loom with their hand spun, you were going to cut so that you didn't make waste, because otherwise you'd have to weave a lot more, and it took a long time.
Right.
So I'm really fascinated by updating some of those techniques with new technologies and tools to use in the modern age. Yeah. And these days, I spend a lot of time here at the Guild. I discovered it some years ago now, of course, and I've taken a lot of the classes that we offer here because I was finally able to find someone to teach me to weave. And I just can't get enough of absorbing the knowledge and the skills that some of our members have, and they're so generous with their time and their knowledge in teaching others as well. It's really wonderful. And these days I do some teaching here as well. teaching things that I know to people who have had their first taste of spinning and weaving. So it's really exciting to be part of.
Now, the Guild has been here for quite a long time.
Yes.
Do you have, can you tell us a bit about the history of the
Sure.
Guild?
So the Guild...
We're here on Nicholson
Yeah.
Street, so there might be a bit of conscious that there might be a bit of traffic noise, and the Guild is open now too, so if there's a little bit of noise in the background, just don't mind that. But let's have a history.
So the Guild was founded in 1954, and this year we're celebrating 70 years of the Hand Weavers and Spinners Guild of Victoria.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a real milestone.
Yeah, it's more than twice my lifetime. And we've bounced around to a few different locations, but we've been here on Nicholson Street for a bit over 10 years now. And the purpose of the Guild is really to bring together people who enjoy textile crafts, particularly spinning and weaving, but others as well, and to provide resources for them to be able to continue their education with classes, as well as people who are interested in textiles to come and learn about them here, who might just want to know how a thread is made. And so we offer a lot of classes for newbies as well as experienced textile crafters. And we've been offering those classes since about the 70s, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're heading into the future with, I think as time draws on, we're becoming more and more conscious about where our clothes come from.
Definitely.
And the Guild has a lot of knowledge to share about that. And so more and more people are interested in where their clothes come from, and they want to be able to not just rely on a shop to provide their clothes. So it's really great that they can come here and learn more about how they're made, whether they want to make them themselves or they're just interested in finding things that other people have handmade that are not so destructive on the environment, to come and buy them here as well.
One other thing that I love about the Guild is the absolute spread of ages that are here, and I bought some hand-spun yarn a couple of years ago now from the Guild, but that was spun by a spinner who has an incredible amount of experience, and I understand at the time that I bought the yarn was 80 years old. And I know there's just like harnessing that knowledge and experience of all of the members is going to be a huge benefit in terms of instruction and resources.
Definitely. It's one of my favourite parts of being here at the Guild is that we have so many members from different walks of life, some of whom have been spinning and weaving and knitting for, 60 years. And we have lots of members who are part of the fibre industry, who have their own sheep and sheep farms or alpacas. We have members who have been or are production professional weavers or who are practicing textile artists, as well as we get a lot of people who are students looking to study textiles, who want to expand their knowledge past what they might learn at university, and a lot of just enthusiastic amateurs. And we all come and share our knowledge and our different approaches. Sometimes we have some people come who are traditional weavers from different cultures, and we always like to be able to share what we know with them and what they know with us. It's really fascinating to see that the woven cloth might be fairly similar, but the way of constructing it could be totally different. So I find that it's really always a really stimulating and inspiring place to be here at the Guild.
But what programming specifically does the Guild have to offer?
We have a number of different programs, both for members and for the general public. So our members are often part of what we call interest groups, which are groups that meet usually once a month to discuss their chosen interests. So we have special groups for weaving and for spinning. We have one for natural dyeing. We have a tapestry group. We have a new one that meets on Zoom now, so members who can't get in here to the rooms can still be part of it. And we've done a lot more with Zoom and online since COVID has been, helpful getting us online as well, since it can be a bit of a trial to put something that's so tactile up online, but some of the members have been really good at it. So people can come and join the interest groups, and we have 2 new ones starting this year that we're very excited about. And members can also come and use the library as well.
Tell us a bit more about the library, because I think that is a huge draw for members.
Definitely.
I'll take some footage and I'll insert some footage of that. So.
I've had comments that our textile library is one of the best in the country. For people who've been around to a few other ones. It's a specialist library for textiles, and we have texts that it would be very hard to find other places, some of which are, they're hand-bound monographs from a guild in the US, say, from, 40 years ago. So they're really valuable in terms of their rarity, but we also have just a lot of books. So I found at my local library there isn't very much for the more obscure textile crafts, but you come here to the guild and it's all here.
Mm-hmm.
And we have plenty of knitting and crochet books as well, because of course once you've made your hand spun, often our members like to knit with it. And books on textile history and textiles from all over the world as well. It's just a really we just have a really broad look at textiles of all types in our library. And often the textile craft books can be really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I find the library's
definitely
great because you don't have to buy the book. You can just come and borrow it from the guild and read it there. And we have some really good reference books as well on various, weave drafts and that kind of thing, which are great for just, referring to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, are you still running the 12-month program?
Yes.
I had a friend named Carrie who went through it, and it looks incredible if you have an interest in fiber arts, because it's a taste of effectively everything.
Yeah, so our classes during the year that we run regularly focus on spinning and weaving as the main focuses of the guild. We have introduction classes for both that only run for 5 weeks that give a really good taster, and you borrow the equipment from the guild. So it's really good if you want to try out the craft. You don't need to find a spinning wheel or a loom, which can be really hard to get hold of or very expensive to buy.
Yes.
You borrow one as part of the course and spend a while learning to use it and getting a taste of the craft. And then, if you like doing it, we offer some really long courses. As I said, they're actually a year or sometimes slightly over a year, that really look at, basically, they cover everything you might encounter for weaving and spinning. We spend a short while on all the things, and then people can find what they like and go off to the library and read more and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. We have 2 different weaving classes, a 4-shaft and an 8-shaft, as well as a spinning certificate that goes for, I think it's 15 months at the moment. Once a month classes. And I did that one a few years ago, and it was really, really good. And class forces you to look at things that you might not think that you like, but you have a look at them and you find that actually you really enjoy them. And we've just put on a new course, which is a bridging course between weaving classes for weavers who might have woven a while ago but have forgotten some of what they know.
Bit of a refresher.
Who don't need the beginner's class but want to make sure they're up to speed before they go on to one of the more complex classes.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really exciting. And then we also, through the year, have just workshops on pretty much anything. We've had some crochet ones recently and some on mending and darning. So they'll just be one-day workshops that come on throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And then we also have summer school, where every January we do classes for all of January. And we expand our offerings to other textile arts as well. So this year we had some lace making, and we always have a lot of dyeing. We have some knitting techniques to learn, some more advanced spinning and weaving, all kinds of things, which is really great. So I spoke to a lot of people recently who found a new thing that they're really inspired by at summer school this year.
Oh, great. Great. Phoebe, we are in front of this amazing wall of yarn, and I found this, but we've got some other incredible examples of some of the work of Guild members?
So we have a gallery shop which we're sitting in that showcases the Guild members' work, and we sell them, which includes both hand-spun yarn and handmade items that are woven or made out of hand-spun yarn. So you can get everything from jumpers to pillows to shoelaces in this shop, and a lot of hand-knitted toys. They're very popular. We sold one just earlier today.
There was the cutest bluey doll. I wish I had an opportunity to take a photograph of it, but trust me, the cutest thing.
So yeah, we get a lot of people coming in here for their handmade gifts, and also because they're interested in things that are locally made in Victoria. And we have a lot of yarn that is the members' work that they spin up and sell here. So we've got a few examples. The one that you're holding there.
This, I wish you could actually feel it. It is the softest, and it says that it's wool and silk. And look at all the different colors. This would knit up into the most gorgeous chunky jumper. And looking over my shoulder, there is pretty much a jumper quantity here. So it's not just small quantity one-offs, is it? What are you holding? Because that's
we just pulled out a few different examples. We've got a lovely boucle here. It's really chunky and squishy.
The autumn colors of that are incredible.
And at the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a really fine one. So we got all types of spinning, different fibres and things.
Is it harder to spin one thickness or another? Like, is it more difficult to spin something that fine?
No, not really. Some people have certain thicknesses they prefer, and some people reckon that once you're sort of established in a fine one, it's really hard to spin thick again. But, it all just takes practice. So here's a really nice chunky one to compare with. This is a beautiful squishy wool. And one thing that's great about hand spinning is all of the colours in the plying, particularly, in a way that you don't get often with commercial yarn. But it's very common in hand spinning to have this beautiful colour combination. And it'll knit up sometimes into really cool stripes, or sometimes just, all over.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. And we also have a lot of natural coloured yarn. Picked up this basket. This is another large quantity, so it's great because you can make a whole garment out of it. So this is a beautiful natural sheep wool. This probably is a Victorian sheep that's been processed by this guild member from fleece into this beautiful yarn.
Oh. And it's not just yarn either. There's lots of different finished objects that are knit or crocheted, beanies, sweaters, shawls, woven scarves. I can see, I'm just looking around.
We've got blankets and tea towels and dog leads. Basically anything that you can knit or weave, we've had at some stage here at the shop. And we also have craft supplies other than the yarn, which are available to buy. So we have a bit of yarn that you can use for weaving or knitting, as well as a lot of yarn that's made specifically for weaving. And as a weaver myself, I really value being able to come into the shop and touch the yarn, because everybody likes to touch it before they buy it. That's not just me. But weaving yarn these days, you pretty much can only get it online. There aren't many bricks and mortar shops anymore, but we are here at the Guild, and you can come in and you can look at the colours and actually hold them in your hands before you buy them.
So while I've been clutching this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to leave without it. There's lots of shopping opportunities here on a regular basis, but do you ever run kind of special events?
Yes, we do. The big one is our bazaar, which is a de-stash opportunity for Guild members, and we have donations of wheels, looms, various pieces of equipment, books, a lot of yarn and other things, basically anything for your textile crafts. And we have a big crazy market here for the whole day. It's always a little bit nuts, but you can get a really good bargain and find some cool stuff. Yeah.
And are there any celebrations planned for the Guild's 70th birthday?
Yes, there are. So in April, we'll be having our anniversary of the Guild's founding, which is an event probably mostly for members, but we also have a few other events planned to involve the rest of the community. So we're going to have an open day and a number of, sort of come and check out what the Guild is about events. So if you keep an eye on the Guild's news, you'll find out when those are going to be. We'll also have a few exhibitions to celebrate the history of the Guild and what we feel might be the direction we'll go in the future. So it'll be really exciting to see some of the things that the Guild members have made over the decades and decades, as well as we're hoping to do some collaboration between veteran members and new members to see what sort of inspiration might spark from that.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Lots to look forward to. Now, a lot of the, like Phoebe was saying, a lot of the, or almost all of the things are made by Guild members. So
everything in this shop's made by the Guild members, yes.
From Victoria. So how is that? How would we learn more about each object?
We're starting to have some new tags that have a little bit more information on them about. We always put who made the item and what fibre it is, but we've started to have these tags that talk about the techniques involved, and that can also highlight that it's made from Victorian wool as well, if that's the case. And it's beautiful work, as you can see. The hand-spun variegation is gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
And, that lovely beanie. So
That's got a really cool construction as well,
yeah.
Right? It's not your standard knit in the round beanie. And I see some felting too. We haven't even talked about felting.
No, we have quite a lot of felters at the Guild. It's a lovely hat here.
That is gorgeous.
And we're starting to think about putting a bit more natural dyed stuff in the shop as well. And we also sell natural dyes here, so people who are interested in trying it out. I think that's the first reason I came into the Guild, actually, is I wanted some alum for my natural dyeing. And so we have a really well-stocked craft supply for dyes, both for wool and silk and for cellulose fibres and natural dyes. And usually the volunteer who's here on the day, if you come in, will be able to answer your questions about them as well, which I find really helpful.
I don't know if I can actually put this down. Like, I have literally been clutching it since I picked it up. It's so soft. It's just absolutely beautiful. So are there any other benefits to being a Guild member?
Yes, so in addition to using the library, only members can borrow books, although everyone's welcome to browse. Members will get a discount on any classes that they do, and we'll also receive our newsletter, Treadles, which goes out once a month, which is full of both news about the Guild, but we also have a running section for other related fibre crafts events around Victoria and Australia that members might be interested in. Another benefit that we have for members is that we have some equipment here at the Guild that members can come and use. So some expensive pieces of equipment, like a drum carder, say, you won't need to own your own. If you're a member of the Guild, you can come in and use the Guild's equipment when we're open, which is a real... it's lovely just to have people around doing their crafts together, but it's both a money and space saver for, if you're like me, you don't have as much space for your craft as you have desire for the stash.
I think that's a universal problem amongst us crafters.
We also have some affiliated groups all around Victoria who are groups that sometimes it'll be a small town or it could be suburbs here in Melbourne who are spinning and knitting and weaving groups, and they become affiliated members with us so that they can use the resources that we have, as well as use our library and keep in touch with the wider fibre community in Victoria. And if you're elsewhere in Victoria, we have a list of the affiliated groups on our website, which is a great way to find out if there's a group near you, if you're not near the main Guild rooms. I've been a member of a couple of groups around Victoria as when I wasn't able to get in here, and that's a really nice way to keep in touch with people who love fibre crafts as well.
Does the Guild do any community outreach?
We do. We sometimes go to schools and museums and offer demonstrations and classes. We've had a few sort of open days lately, which have been really exciting. So we had an ancient crafts day last year where we demonstrated a whole lot of fairly obscure fibercraft techniques, and lots of people could come and learn a bit about what they were all about, and that was really exciting. We really enjoyed that. We also go to markets a fair bit, So the main ones for us will be at the Yarn Craft Market in Coburg, and of course at the Sheep Show in Bendigo. And we usually bring a lot of the craft supplies and things from the shop to sell there.
Fantastic. And I know that the guild has also been involved in providing instructors for the program that I run too over at the Children's Farm, which does free workshops in knitting, crochet, and some other fiber crafts every year. So you can be on the lookout for those as well. Yeah.
Definitely. We'd like to offer more classes, so if you're interested in learning some fibre crafts, get in touch with the Guild. And when we hear about what people want to learn, we'll try and put classes on for it. You can also get in touch by our website, which has not only the list of affiliated groups, but information about how to become a member. And we have some of our craft supplies up on the shop there. We have some exhibitions online, which is great for, again, if you're a country member or you can't get into the room to see the exhibition, a lot of them are up online. And we have our library catalogue. It's a great way to see what's happening at the Guild and keep in touch.
And there is also a knitting group. Don't they meet monthly?
We do have a knitting group.
In addition to the website, where can the viewers find the Guild?
That's a good question. Well, here on Nicholson Street, 655 Nicholson Street, North Carlton, is the Guild's rooms. At the moment, we're open 4 days a week. There's our website. You can see us at various of the markets or events that we might have. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. You can keep track of what might be happening at the Guild there as well, and see some of the lovely things that people have made.
And I'll put links to all of that in the description box below, so you'll be able to find out and get involved in the Guild. Phoebe, thank you for spending time with me and talking about the Guild. I think it is such a fantastic resource for the community. And keep up the good work.
You're very welcome. And we'd love to have anyone who'd like to join the Guild or see what we're all about. We're really keen to speak to fibre enthusiasts of all stripes. Come and join us.
And it's super easy access on public transport, so no excuses. So isn't that just fascinating? We have such a rich local resource right at our fingertips with the Guild, and I'd encourage you all to check it out, take a course if you're interested, and get involved. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content that I am producing, please subscribe. It helps the podcast gain some traction in terms of the social media algorithms. And leave a comment. Have you had a good experience with the Guild or enjoyed a course? I think other people would love to know that. So let's start a chat about that. Anyway, until next time, happy knitting, weaving, spinning, felting, any crafting, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.